What's up, everybody? This is the Retro Gamer Ranting. How y'all doing? I'm doing fine. I decided, hey, I haven't done a gaming loot kind of video in a while. So I thought, hey, I should. This is kind of an accumulation of retro games that I've found over the summer so far. Summer's not over with yet, at least at the time of recording this. And so I might find some more goodies, but I haven't really been able to get around rummage sales and yard sales, garage sales, whatever, as much as I'd like to this year because it's just been a little more hectic, but hopefully well. So not to have just plain looking wood on the screen much longer, let's just start off right off the bat with probably the more recent game that I have gotten out of all the gaming loot. But right here, PS2, God of War 2. Found this at a guy's rummage sale where he just had a ton of awesome retro games and systems, and that was like after I've already spent a lot of money, so I couldn't. I felt like if I would have had it, I would have been like, dude, I'll give you $100 for everything. I mean, it even had like a ColecoVision there, and I couldn't get it. I was so bummed out. But God of War 2 was there. I got God of War 1 last year. Not a huge fan of the series. This is the 2-disc set one. Right here has a huge... Well, not really that huge. Thought it was huge. Hasn't looked at it. Has a little instruction manual, so that's cool. Has that with it. The playable disc and the special features DVD. And looks like the special features are deleted levels, voices, God of War 2, the music, and bringing God of War 2 to life, and that kind of stuff. So this doesn't really say like special edition. It just says 2-disc set. So I don't really know. I guess this was back when developers weren't so douchebaggery about making like a million different versions of a game, so you get the regular version, the special edition version, the collector's edition, the Uber Game of the Year edition. So this is when, hey, you still got at least something cool when you bought the normal version. So haven't checked it out yet. I've had it for a little while now, but I haven't really checked it out. Again, not a huge fan of the God of War series, but it's sort of one of those series on the PlayStation 2 where you just sort of gotta own it. Yeah, so God of War 2, awesome. Also, while I was at that guy's place, got myself, here we go, The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for the Super Nintendo. Pretty sweet, huh? You probably are thinking, what, a Mickey Mouse game? Believe it or not, there were good Mickey Mouse games on the Super Nintendo. Honestly, there was. And this was one of them. I have some pretty fond memories of this because I remember renting it a weekend. And it was one of the few games where I remember actually renting on a weekend and actually being able to beat. Like, back when I was a kid, you didn't really get games for as long as you do now when you rent them. So to actually sit down and beat a game on a weekend, I don't know. I just never seemed to have the time for it because I only would have the game for a day or so. This was one I actually rented for a whole weekend, so I was actually able to put a lot of time into it and play it. And it's really fun. The graphics are great. The controls are great. It has a really nifty mechanic, like you can transform into things, you can grab onto things and use them as weapons. You'd have to play it. I honestly think I'm going to do a playthrough of it sometime just because it's a really sweet little Mickey game. I don't know if it's underrated. I'm not really sure because recently I read that this was one of the games that was the inspiration for the Nintendo 3DS version of Epic Mickey 2, so I can see like from the screenshots that I've seen that it looks very familiar. It looks a lot like the Magical Quest with Mickey Mouse. So if you kind of want to see where Epic Mickey 2 on the 3DS is going to kind of get its roots from, this is probably the game you want to pick up. When it comes to Mickey Mouse, they're kind of few and far between, and this is one of the good ones. So I'm really glad I picked this up and can't wait to show my son this when he's old enough to play it. So there's that. Also grabbed while I was there, right here, this is what it came in. It came in the case, so I was kind of happy with this. Kirby's Adventure on the Nintendo. This was a very late bloomer game. This game barely made it at the end of the Nintendo's life. I don't know at the date it came out. Does it say on here? Not really. I don't know. But this was one of the late bloomer games. This was one of the first Kirby games that I played. And I actually own this already on the Game Boy Advance. I forgot what it's called. I think it was like Kirby in Dreamland or something. But they basically redid it on the Game Boy Advance with 16-bit graphics. So, but I've also played it on the Nintendo. Excellent game. So I was very, very happy to find this. I've always loved myself a good Kirby game. And I kind of prefer this one over the first Kirby game on the Game Boy, which coincidentally, I picked this up yesterday at a resale shop. Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy. So this is it. This is where it all began. This is where Kirby's adventures all started, right there. He didn't have his copy abilities yet. There are some power-ups and such like that. So it feels a lot different. See, since I never played this one, I just played it now. Like, just getting this. I've never played Kirby's Dream Land until now. Like, the first, I played Kirby's Adventures and all these other ones since then, but never the original. And it feels so much different because I keep wanting to do the copy ability, because if you can suck up enemies and spit them out and stuff, and actually it makes it a little bit more challenging, especially since you got to deprogram yourself. I keep like hitting the down button in hopes I copy ability, and all I do is like swallow an enemy. So it's a little bit more challenging, but I think it's just because my mindset is more of classic copy ability Kirby, I guess. So, but still, awesome game, and I'm really happy I was able to find that. Along with the Kirby's, I don't know, I got 2 Kirby's this summer. I did pick this up yesterday. A lot of people are going to be like, what? What? Fighters? What? Fighters History? Is that the price on there? I don't know if I don't think I actually paid that price. I'm going to take that off. There we go. I didn't really pay that price, but this is Fighters History, and it's kind of funny because for some reason I brain farted while I was grabbing this game to buy it yesterday, or the other day, and for some reason I had Fighters History and World Heroes mixed around in my head. I don't know why. I had the 2 messed up in my head, and I thought for some reason I was buying World Heroes. But it's okay. I'm not disappointed because Fighters History is cool to have just for the fact that it's kind of controversial in the fact that I don't know if it was Data East. I don't know if Data East actually created Fighters History or if they're just the ones who ported it to the Super Nintendo. But the creators of Fighters History got in trouble with Capcom because Capcom thought it was way too much like Street Fighter 2. So playing it, I wouldn't. It's not really, like, it doesn't quite, I don't know, like, the characters don't really look like it. You can see where there's inspiration from Street Fighter 2, but I don't really know why, like, out of all the people Capcom could have went up against, because were tons of Street Fighter clones, you know, the Art of Fighting series, you know, they could have went after SNK for that because of Ryo and Robert and stuff. They were very similar, but I don't know. I think there are other games out there that are probably more, I guess, copycats of Street Fighter 2 than this. But I kind of wanted to. I played it. It's fun. It's a fun little beat 'em up game. It's not going to blow anyone away, but it's still, you know. And just for the history and the controversy behind it as being one of those games that sort of had a rumble with Capcom and that kind of stuff. So here it is, Fighters History. So kind of cool. Kind of worth taking a check out, I would say. And I'm kind of a SNES fighting game fanatic. Like, if I find a fighting game on the SNES, I'd pick it up. Because back in the day, that was the fighting game system. You know, mostly because it had enough buttons. Like the Sega Genesis had 3 buttons. The Super Nintendo had, you know, the 4 buttons in front and the 2 shoulder buttons. So you could actually play fighting games from the arcade without too much problem because you had enough buttons on it. I don't know if that was the main reason why there was more fighting games on the Super Nintendo, but that was the fighting game system to own for the most part. If you were a fighting game fan, you kind of owned the Super Nintendo for the most part. Not to say that the Sega Genesis didn't have its fair share of good fighting games. It's just, I guess most fighting game fans kind of preferred the SNES. Moving on to much better games. So here are the 2 gems that I've picked up so far this year that I'm most excited about. Here it is. The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. I found this at that one place where I got God of War 2, and I just feel ashamed that I haven't owned this yet. I've never owned it, and even though I'm not a huge, I like Zelda. I like the Zelda franchise. I'm not an expert at it. I don't get to play them as fanatically as that. I know they're a great series, but this is sort of one of those games that even if you aren't able to really, even if you're not a huge fanatic of Zelda or anything else for that matter, you gotta own this game. A lot of people consider Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past as being probably the best Zelda game out there. Arguably. I'm not an expert, so I'm not gonna argue that point. Like I said, I get to play the game. I probably get through the first half of the game and then something distracts me otherwise. But it's definitely something you gotta have in your collection if you collect SNES games at all. If you don't, I don't think you're a Nintendo fan or a collector. So kind of happy to find that. Wish I would have been able to find it in its original box and stuff. And oh, there's a name back there. Someone who used to own it. I will cover that up. Don't want to give their name away. So yeah, so there we go. And then last and definitely not least, Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World. And that came with this little protective thing, which is cool. That's kind of cool, just like that. So I was happy to find this because I already have Super Mario All-Stars as it is. But unfortunately, it's not Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World. It was just Super Mario All-Stars. But the save, for whatever reason, it doesn't save. Like, none of the save files work on it. So when you play it, it'll never save your progress, which is kind of a bummer. So this one, it works. Everything saves properly. Plus, it has Super Mario World, so it's everything plus, So I was kind of excited to find this one because it basically gives you every Mario game you could ever want, at least when it comes to the 16-bit era, right there. Mario World, Mario 1 through 3, plus the Lost World. So, God, those Lost Worlds are insane. I could see why they didn't release them. It would have caused a lot of broken screens. So there we go. There's my gaming loot, my gaming pickups for summer so far. If I find anything else, if I get anything else, I will tell you guys. Anything substantial, at least. I guess I'm in a very Super Nintendo mood. No Sega Genesis stuff. I guess I haven't really found anything. I don't know. I'm gonna have to start looking. I don't know. You get in moods, sometimes you're in a SNES mode, sometimes you're in a Sega mode, maybe you're in a GameCube mood, I don't know. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and if you liked this, please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. I have tons of awesome other content on my channel, so check it out, alright? Till next time, game fans, keep playing, and thanks for watching.